Evening everyone. Hope you're all doing amazing this evening. Welcome to the call. Good to see you guys all blowing up in the chat already. I think most of you are all busy grabbing some pips behind the scenes. Looks like we have some moves happening. Great to see you guys posting your results and what's been happening in the mornings and throughout the day. Really pumped, guys. It's super fun. So yeah, for those of you who've been joining us in the mornings, it has been fun. We've done a couple of them. So this morning, 5:15, we launched, and things weren't as crazy as the New York Open, but there were definitely some moves. So posts to be had, and we're keen to keep doing it. So guys, let us know if you're enjoying it. We'll keep doing it. So at the moment, plan is Tuesdays and Thursdays, somewhere between 5:15. If you guys want to go earlier, let me know. I was up at 4:30 this morning just to kind of get my head back into the space and wake up, let my coffee kick in. But let me know what you guys are keen for, and yeah, we'll put it on. So we'll do it again. So tomorrow, Wednesdays, Fridays, James Leone is live. So creative, the dynamic edge. So there's no ways I'm going to take up airtime while he's live. So between 5 and 6 a.m. Wednesdays and Fridays, tune into James, and he's going to break down the charts far better than any of us. So yeah, Wednesdays and Fridays will be him, and Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll run our Zooms, and we can keep trading together that way. And let me know if any of you guys are keen in the evenings, guys. Whether or not, I've got quite a bit of stuff on here and there, but if any of you guys are trading and want to host a Zoom, or just do it together in community at any other time, then yeah, put something in the chat. Let me know. Some of us have got paid Zoom accounts, so I might be able to put something on the background for you guys. But just want to encourage that community to dive in there together. It's amazing how much more disciplined you are when you're doing it with one other person at least. So yeah, drop some love in the chat if you're enjoying those mornings. This morning, I think we had a dozen of us on there again, and just super fun, man. Like, it's a great way to start the day and just be on the charts with friends. So yeah, that's the plan. So tomorrow will be James, and then Thursday morning we'll be back into it bright and early. So just looking at my notes here, but besides that, most of you probably noticed you got an invite to join our Facebook group that I put together finally. So that group, guys, the Fit Life, is more of a window into what we're doing. It's not what is it not? It's not a group for us to go and basically move our chat into there. It's more of a window for all of our friends to be able to take a little glaze at, this is who we are, this is what we're up to, where we can post some of our results, things like that. So just going to start slowly posting some content in there. And I'm also going to create an event in the next couple of days for a boot camp. So we've done the odd Tuesday night like this, where we've opened it up and had friends come in and join us, but we want to run a 2-night one. So next week, Monday, the 4th, and Tuesday, the 5th, Michael and myself, we're going to be running, full on boot camp. We want to keep each night fairly compact, but rather spread it across 2, and right from the get-go, just get guys trading. So we want to add a high amount of value, deliver some real good base content, tell people understand the space, what the heck is compound interest, support and resistance, maybe a bit of divergence, show the scanner, get people pushing the buttons on NT4 and just up and running. So I'll create an event inside the Facebook group for that. But what you can basically do, I just went through last night and added all you guys. And so tomorrow I'm going to start adding some more friends to it. And it's as easy as that, just to literally, you can go in the group and either just click invite and invite anyone who you may have already been sharing what you're up to in the space. Or you can just, send someone a message. You'd be like, hey, I'm learning the skill. Do you want to come and join me and just have a look at what we're up to? And invite them to that group is pretty easy. It's just a space where they can see a little bit about who we are, what we're up to. And over time, I'd love it if you guys can post whatever results you're having. Obviously, our chat's nonstop. But just be selective. Don't spam the page, but just to put a few results in there. More of like a testimony than just a blur, like dropping like a screenshot of your results, like letting people know, maybe even 2 sentences of your journey and where you're up to in the space and how you're feeling about it and where you're at now. Just something concise that just shows our community that is active and trading, because not everyone's obviously on Zooms like this with us. So that's the plan, guys. I feel like it's basically our version of what the Canadians put together 2.5-3 years ago with the Free From the Rat Race Facebook page, which I feel like we just needed. Like Michael and myself, we're chatting a whole lot. I feel like it'd be really valuable for us to have something in our own tone, in our own culture, that is, we really wanted to focus on the value of the trading side, and just create some community around that for our neck of the woods. So it feels like it's growing and we're having a lot of fun together. So I just wanted to create our own thing and let us invite people in there and basically set the tone and the culture. So have fun with that, guys. Go ahead, invite some friends, family in there, whoever you think could use this opportunity, right? I mean, we're all here because someone told us about it. And we're all on this learning journey. Some of us get it a whole lot faster than others, but the main thing is just discipline, patience, keep showing up. I think it was Mike Sotero at a convention, one of the educators on the crypto side. He said, you want to know the secret to success? And he just went quiet. And on the screen share, he just loaded goLIVE and logged in. And he said that was pretty much it. It's just show up to class. Like by being on the Zooms, by being on the, whenever our educators are live, like that's actually going to be the number one thing that keeps you plugged in, keeps you consistent. So James is live, like I said, Wednesdays, Fridays, 5 to 6 a.m. and then Thursday nights at 9. I'm pretty sure it's 9. Yeah. So yeah, plug into those and catch up if you missed them. And then, yeah, guys, then get on the charts, get on the Zooms with us. Like applying it is the best thing you can do. Like if it's like a gym membership. If you never show up, you're not going to get fit, right? So yeah, that's the go with that. What else am I thinking about? Yeah, diving into, let me just check. I've got the, there we go. Just checking the chat. I've got that on the right-hand side over here. But yeah, guys, I was thinking a little bit of a mindset this morning of what to share. I wanted to just, drop a little bit of mindset in here for us tonight with something that I got to the privilege of jumping on a Zoom, when was it, about a month ago? Yeah, Greg Greeno and the guys, Greg and Mel, who run our team that basically started it in Canada 3 years ago. They put out the opportunity for some of us to qualify for getting on a Zoom with Alex Morton, which was a huge, huge opportunity. And so for those of you who don't know who Alex is, if you're new, he is one of the leaders in this industry in terms of marketing. And he's 32 years old. He's been in the space for about 11 years, but he is probably one of the highest paid network marketers on the planet. And I think he's made, I've heard two phrases. I've heard 40 million, I've heard 80 million. I'm going to go with the smallest. I'm going to say he's made 40 million in the last 5 years in this space. And just being able to learn from a guy like that, who's like, even with the new travel, the FRX Academy launching, like I was listening to him on the Team mentorship call this morning, he doesn't make $1 off that. So he's at a place right now where he's really living his call of just running hard to help people thrive. He's set, he's done. Like 40 million is he can lean back, but he's in this, he's young, he's got passion, and he just wants to help empower all of us. So anyway, long story short, I got on that Zoom, and yeah, one of the questions that one of the guys asked was just, what are some of the secrets that you've been able to learn in the midst of your journey in the space? Like what was pivotal for you? And he went back to this time where he got to attend a Bob Proctor event. And so Bob, like to give you the history of the space of personal development, some of you guys know people like Tony Robbins and Ed Mylett and etc. But when you go back in time to the kind of the earliest thinkers in the space, you got guys like, there's Andrew Carnegie, who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. And then, he mentored, let me get this right, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. And then Napoleon Hill mentored Earl Nightingale, who wrote The Stranger's Secret. Earl Nightingale mentored Bob Proctor. And Bob has been one of the most, prolific speakers and teachers in the space for the last 30 years until he passed away a few months ago, who was employed full-time by the Academy in the Mindset Academy. And so Bob has been mentoring Alex for the last 10 years personally. And so that hence, Alex's success. So Alex went to a Matrix event, I think it was called that, where Bob put on 15 grand a seat, guys, 25 grand if you bring a partner or a spouse. And so Alex went to that session that day, whatever it was. And basically, Bob, I think, asked him the question of like, do you actually know how you've gotten to this space of success? And Alex said, yeah, like, at this point he had made his first million and he was in his early 20s. I think he was 25, 26. And his answer was, yeah, I worked really, really hard. And Bob just said to him, plenty of people work really, really hard. Like you worked hard, but that's not the thing. And so Alex said to him, well, I've got really great parents. Like I was raised really well. And Bob just said, nope, plenty of people with good parents, they haven't made millions. And so Bob leans at it into him and says, here's your problem. You've made your first million, but because you have no idea how you actually did it, you can't do it again and you can't duplicate, you can't teach it. And then leaned into telling him like, this is what I see and this is how you did it. And so he shared with him these 3 really key things. I've heard Tony Robbins talk about it a lot, but in this space, these were the lines that came out. He said, number 1, it's state, story, and strategy. And so Bob said to Alex, he said, number 1, you kept yourself in a high energy peak state. You were very good at guarding your emotions, managing your mental game and your emotional game, and just like being very present, very focused. And you didn't allow life to get on top of you, get you depressed, thinking about whatever's going on in the world and etc. And so he managed to maintain that peak state, number 1. Number 2, his story. So Alex was telling himself for years, like from I think 21 to age 25, like I'm a millionaire by the time I'm 25, I'm a millionaire by the time I'm 25. So whatever his goal was, he was just very, very vocal about speaking that over himself. And I preached an aspect of this on Sunday, Romans 12 verse 2, like be transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind. And it's like the thoughts that we think, what we allow to take up space in here, what we hear, what we consume, what's coming in, and then what's, going out. our words create our worlds around us, guys. And so that idea of story, like what you think and what you tell yourself about your life and where you're headed, the vision that you have, that God's inspired for where you feel called to going in life, what you tell yourself is so powerful. That story of, as not leaning back in the past, whether that's past success or failures. Like this is my challenge for all of us, is stop thinking about and defining yourself by who you have been and what you have done, but think about who you're called to become. And start to have a very strong vision for what that future looks like 5, 10, 20 years from now. What does your family look like? What does your, working environment look like, if you're even working? Like, when do you want to be completely financially free so that you're not trading your time for money anymore? Like, get very specific and writing those things down, and then start to think in that space emotionally with that story. Like, whatever that story is for you, if you can put yourself into that space of not just writing it down and having clarity, but if you can emotionally experience that future being done, you are like 95% there. That is what all these guys would say is how they got there. And so number 1, peak state. Number 2, story, what you tell yourself about your future. And number 3, strategy. And that's what Bob said to him, those 3 things. And so strategy for Alex, in terms of the kind of business that he was building, was whatever that was. For us, it might be show up to goLIVE 3 times a week, get on 2 Zooms, et cetera, and place X amount of trades, whatever that looks like. It's like having a very clearly defined trading plan for, this is when I'm going to trade. This is my pre-trade plan. I'm going to sit down for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe half an hour before I push a button. Like having very clear rules instead of just sitting down, seeing a signal. I mean, like, ooh, FOMO, but getting real strict on what your pre-game is, your trades, analyzing your trades afterwards, like having a very clear set strategy for the journey that we're on. So state, story, strategy, 3 real simple things, guys, but take the time, whether you journal or have some quiet times in the mornings or whenever you have time, like take time to really dig into those things. We've heard Michael say before here as well, and in the midst of his coaching with us, is that trading is like 80% mindset and 20% skill. It's like learning how to drive. Anyone can learn it, but not everyone takes the time to develop the mindset to become successful. So I encourage you guys, take some time, write down those 3 things and start to think about what does being in a peak state and guiding your heart, guiding your mind look like? The material that you feed yourself on, what you're listening to, what you focus on, and then the story you tell yourself and the strategy that you're going to apply. So 3 real simple things, but they have a huge, huge effect on our trajectory in this space. So with that being said, hope that's all right. Where am I? Let me just check, just checking the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. But for that, it is, just some mindset I want to drop with you guys. And looks like, man, epic turnout tonight, guys. Very cool. So it is my great pleasure from here to, I'm watching the charts on my left-hand side of my screen here, just checking what's going on there. Looks like we just hit the target on the 1 minute, as long as that's refreshed. I'm sure some of you are grabbing some pips. But guys, it's my absolute treat to invite Michael to share with us this evening as well. We wanted to just, break down what we see has been happening, this morning, maybe the last, yesterday, today, and maybe where things are headed from here. And so, Mike, I just want to give you the floor, man, to share. So guys, drop some 777s in the chat for Michael. It is always an absolute privilege to be able to hear from this man. So I'm going to pin you, and there we go, remove myself. Yeah, guys, drop some 7s. Thanks, man. Michael, all yours, bro.
All right. Hey, Ty. Hey, guys. Hey, great to see you tonight. Hey, looks good, Mario. You're crushing your trades. That's good to see. Man, it's been an amazing week. And one thing that I really want to share tonight, as I share my screen, Ty, I still can't share it. If you can just allow me to be the host. Great. Thanks. So what I tend to do is I look at TradingView as well as actually watching my setup with the dynamic edge setup. Now, the reason I do that is because I'm looking to understand market structure as well. So yes, I'm taking the signals off dynamic edge. However, I can actually increase the probability of those signals and their win rate based on where those particular setups are. So, so just something that I've been doing. This is my screen from today. So I've had some awesome trades from bottom, trade it all the way down, trade it up, sold the top, and then trade it back down again. And what I've really been focusing on is 3-minute chart. But before that, what I want to go out and show you is just on TradingView. So this is the market structure or the higher time frame setups for the NASDAQ. So what we saw is on the 4-hour chart, we actually bottomed out and produced this massive bearish divergence on the NASDAQ. And so this, when you see something on a higher time frame, it has a lot more credibility and weight than something on a lower time frame. So this is a similar MACD that we use on the scanner. However, I'm just going to use it on TradingView just because it's a lot easier to do things. So what you can see here is our divergence on the 4-hour chart, and that actually produced the bottom of this last move up over the last 2 weeks. Now, what's interesting is that if we go back in time and see the last time we had a 4-hour setup, we can actually get a grip for how far this move will go. So in the past, if we go back and look, let me just remove these 2 yellow lines. The last time we had a 4-hour divergence was back here on the 11th of May. And you'll notice after that divergence took place, and again, there's no scanner on this, so there's no signal, but we can see that from the lows, price moved up almost 900 pips, 900 points. So what I did was actually enter in the lows down here, and I took this previous 4-hour divergence as a reference point. But we can go back even more, and we can look for another 4-hour divergence that happened in the past. And that one went up 735 pips. And then we can go back and look at another 4-hour divergence in the past. And we can see that we have 100% success rate for the last 4-hour divergences. And this particular one went up 415 pips. So what I did was took the average of that and realized, okay, every time we have a 4-hour divergence, we get a really strong move up. So this particular one went up almost 1,200 pips. But what was most important was that this particular low that we just made a few weeks ago on the 4-hour chart was actually on the weekly chart, it was actually hitting the 200 moving average. So if we put the moving average in there, and this is something you guys can experiment as you grow in your trading, but the 200 moving average is actually the most important moving average on any time frame. And sure enough, look at that, it rejected right off the 200 moving average. Now, last time that happened was back here in COVID. That was March 2020, massive market crash. The market moved down 31% and bounced off the moving average. And so this time from the highs, the market bounced down how much? Almost 33%, 1% more. So we have had an equal drop in price based on percentage right into the moving average, and we've had a divergence. But not only that, we're also diverging on the weekly chart. So now you've got all these things lining up, which says we're probably going to get a really strong move off the lows. So once we get that confirmed, all the bigger players are stepping in because they all see that. Let's just move this back down here. I'm just watching that trade. I'm still short on that trade. They're all seeing that. And the moment we get a snap of a trend line, all the buyers step back into the market and the market continues to push higher. So at that point, yes, I will take counter trend trades on the lower time frames. But if I'm long, I'm going to be holding these positions for a much bigger move because I know momentum has turned around. It's now shifted to going up. So we had a number of amazing positions on the 3-minute and 5-minute chart of the last week. And if we just go back, you can see very, very strong trend. But what I can do is just put a few more moving averages up so you can see the trend. Very, very strong uptrend. And so every time the price comes back into these moving averages, which is basically just a 10, 20, and a 50, if I'm getting a nice bullish divergence on a 3-minute or 5-minute chart in the context of this trend, then I'll always take out initial profit at 2 to 1, but I'll let the last one run. And that's allowed me to get some huge trades. So we actually, we had 3-minute divergence down here. We actually also had a 3-minute divergence in here. Whoops, just in there. We also have one in here. Oh, my screen's just gone blank. We have one just in there. And I think we have one in here as well. And so when you get the pullbacks into these averages, price continues to pull away with a strong trend. So we get the, just like with the Bollinger Bands, as Happy has taught us, when you get the contraction in price, you get the expansion away. It's the same with the moving averages. The Bollinger Bands does it much more effectively. But as far as a trend is concerned, you're always going to pull away from the trend or pull up or down and then pull back in the averages, back to the mean. And then if it's a strong trend, buying will come back into the market. And so you can keep holding it for a bigger move. So that's something that I've used, which has been really, really amazing. And then we had another amazing 3-minute divergence in there. But something else I'll just share, let's just remove these. So I bought the bottom down here just this afternoon, as I showed you. So here's my chart. Here's the exact bottom right down there that I bought at 11,950. And I'm very, very aware of levels. I've talked of key levels before. And what I like to do is put up horizontal lines to see where price has been rejected numerous times in the past. So this, after we had this huge run up, price pulls back to this level here. And so it provides a platform for the next spring of price. So that's a significant level. And so that's a level that there will be a lot of stop losses underneath, because if you have gone long up here, 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 a conservative loss would be below this low, because there's a long way to the next stop. We are, the most logical place to have your next stop. So that was a level that I was looking at closely. And when we came down to that level today, I was aware that we're still trending up. We're still in a higher time frame, in an uptrend. And so I moved down to the 3-minute chart with the scanner. And sure enough, this is the same MACD we use. There was a divergence, and we managed to buy the exact bottom. So now we've got really great confluence. We've got our 3-minute setup with a buy signal that occurred on the scanner, but it occurred at the key level, which helped me actually put a larger position in. So another key level was this, this sell that we just initiated just before from up here. So as you can see, this is a 3-minute chart. There was our divergence, and there was our divergence on price. Beautiful sell signal. However, where did this setup occur? If we put a line on the top of that and zoom out, and this is why it's nice to have TradingView to analyze it, because we're not getting any clutter. It's a very clean chart. Look at this. I'll just remove some of these lines. This was basically a stop hunt of this high around New York. But not only that, but it was a key level back here. It was a key level of support in here. It was a key level here. It was a key level here. So this is a price zone that has been touched numerous times. And every time we've touched it, we've rejected it in one direction or another. So it's not a wall, it's a fence. And that's why you can poke your fingers through it. Like over here, we don't hit off it solidly, but it is rejected off that same level. So we came right up into that key level, same as this bottom zone, and then we produced exactly the same pattern. We get a 3-minute divergence. Sure enough, price comes straight back down. Not only that, but we also had a 5-minute divergence. So we had 2 divergences, and it was exactly the same with the trade down the bottom. A 3-minute and a 5-minute divergence, and it was at a key level. So what I like to do is just look at my chart and be very, very objective about where is price being respected from, what levels, And if we get a bounce off that level, I'm definitely looking for a divergent trade in the opposite direction, not a continuation trade. Now, the reason for that is because the reason we are actually rejecting from these levels are mostly stops. Now, you'll notice that when we hit this level, we actually exceeded that previous high. And that's because anyone who shorted through the end of the North American session, anyone who was short, all had their stops above the top here. And so what happens is that the big players wanted to drop it down first thing at London Open, but they had to run it up first, take out all the stops, and then drop it down. So this was a stop hunt to get a whole lot of liquidity so they could actually make this big run down. And so when we come into a key level like this that's been thoroughly rejected, and we get a divergence set up in the opposite direction, I always look for a reversal trade because it happens about 90% of the time on a 3-minute chart. So the 3-minute chart has been amazing for me, but a lot of the entries have been taken off a 1-minute chart to get an even tighter entry. So for example, again, this trade we just had before, the entry, and again, I've got TradingView open, I've got the scanner open, but the entry was also off a 1-minute because we had a 1-minute divergence as well. So now we have a 1-minute entry in the context of a 3-minute and 5-minute divergent trade. And then we had a nice sell signal in here somewhere, and then we're off to the races. Mario Delong, yeah, awesome. There's a really nice divergent setup down there. I haven't got my scanner on now, but you can see that we're diverging on price down here, and we haven't got quite a low, but definitely diverging. So those are some things that have really helped me. So just a quick recap. If you understand the higher time frame, and anyone can look at this chart and say, yes, we have a very, very strong trend. So if you get a counter trend move down, and let's have a look at that on the 50-minute chart, then if you get a bullish divergent setup in the direction of the trend, so as we're moving up, if we get a move down, if we get a move down, 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 if we get a bullish divergent setup in these zones, absolutely you would, I'm not telling you, but I tend to hold the last portion of that trade for an extended move because the flow of money is all to the upside. Again, it's like, jumping in a river, and you can try and walk up the river, or you can just roll over on your back and float down the river and just let the current take you. It's the same with a strong trend. Let the current take you. Let it move your trade in the direction that it wants to go in rather than fighting it. So yes, we can still take counter trend trades. However, the trades that make you the most money are the big runners. And so I've had a couple of massive runners in the last 2 weeks, a couple of 10 to 1s, 5, 6, 7 to 1. And that's because I'm looking at the higher time frame and seeing, okay, yep, the 1 hour is setting up, everything is aligning. Yep, we're above the zero line in all of them. And again, looking at the high time frames like the daily and the 4 hour, when they all align up, there's an amazing opportunity. So those are some things that have helped me this week. In fact, these are some things I've been using for a long time, but they've really helped me in trading the NAS and using dynamic edge because your entries are so small and you're getting huge asymmetric reward to risk. So Ty, those are some things that I've really put to work this week and focused on. And I encourage you guys to maybe keep an eye out for learning to analyze the different levels that prices respect in the past, because they are important. If we just come back here, you can see even up the top here, that when price is respected once over here, it's respected again on the other side. And you end up having this shoulder, head, and shoulder. So price has a memory of where it's been before. And so sometimes it's good to clear your charts and go to TradingView and just get an objective look and learn to read price action. And that will even help you and give you more confidence when you're trading the alerts of dynamic edge. So Drew, how do I set my stops and exits? Great question. So on a 1 minute chart, if I have a setup, so for example, here's my setup here on the 1 minute chart. I've got my divergence going on. Let's say that I have my entry in there. On a 1 minute chart, because the 1 minute and 3 minute divergence is so strong, I have my stop only like, it's like 2 points above the high, 2 pips above the high, that's it. And I always look for 2 to 1. And I always take out the majority of my position at 2 to 1. So my goal, I have a certain percentage every trade that I look to get, and then I have a certain percentage every week. That's my goal. And every single trade, I'm looking for a minimum of 2 to 1, where I'll take out 4/5 or 5/6 of my positions, and then I'll let the last trade run. And often, if I let the last trade run, like the buy over here, so let's just go back and look at this trade over here. 1 minute chart. This was the trade earlier this afternoon. Oh, this is the 1 minute chart. So the entry was actually off a 3 minute chart on this one. Now, what I actually did was I actually went down to a tick chart and I got a very, very tight entry. But what you can notice is we have a bullish engulfing candle in the context of the divergence. So I'm also trading the signals. However, sometimes I can get in a bit earlier just because of learning to read price action over the years. So for this one here, because I'm buying from this key level, Drew, my minimum target is going to be the next high, okay? So if I'm buying down here in the circle, my minimum target are these next highs. Because if anyone has gone short down here, they will have stops above here. So what happens, price comes up, hits it, and then smashes straight through it. And at that point, I take out my profit, and then I actually get another long position here. So that sort of reward to risk, again, 2 pips below, and we're looking at like 5.5 to 1. So when you are trading reversal setups on dynamic edge from key levels, that's how you get the asymmetric reward to risk. You get them in trend continuation as well, but key levels often will move to the other side of the range. So to answer your question, Drew, on a 1 minute and 3 minute chart, I have a stop 2 pips above the high or low. On a 5 minute chart, it's about 3 or 4 pips. I always take out the majority of my position at 2 to 1, always, because that locks in my 3 to 4%. And then I let the last position run, normally for half a day. And then I will trail my stop under the swing highs or swing lows. And if I see a divergence on a higher time frame, then I'll exit that position. So I took out a few positions up here, and then at 2 to 1, and then I took a position out here, and then the last one was up here because we had a divergence on the 5 minute time frame. So that's something I hope will help you guys for the week, something you can look out for, and just train your eyes to identify price action. And all of these things combined will give you more confidence in your setup. So rather than just trusting the alert, you've got a good, clear picture of the market structure of certain key levels, and that will actually help you stay in your trades longer. So back to you, Ty.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. So appreciate it, man. Far out. So good. So good. If you can throw me the host, since we've got, I know some guys in here that are a little brand new for Dynamic Edge, I'll show you guys a scanner and just walk you through some very simple steps for just logging in, loading Dynamic Edge, and what to look for. So just some basic stuff. I know some of you guys have seen this already, but I'll share my screen and I can show you from the beginning too, because I just got like logged out randomly, which I know happens every now and then. So let me do this. Let me go screen share. I want to share that. Pivots, share. All right. Hopefully you guys can all see that. Let me just widen this up a bit. Bring it over here. Normally, and then logged out. Okay, that's weird. Let me just log back in. Might be because I had the 3 minute open over here. I'll get rid of that. So normally, guys, when I trade, I have the 1 minute and the 3 minute open side by side. But if you're loading pivots for the first time, the scanner, this is what it's going to look like. And this is the pivot scanner on its own. So down the left-hand side here, we've got harmonics, vibrato, gold cup, levels, pivots, and steady, DeLorean, bounce back, and it goes on and on. So here we go. Some of you guys might be in DCX, and you're gonna have the swipe coin, scalper, harmonic scanner over there in DCX. But yeah, for Forex wise for us, we have added pivots in the back office and then added dynamic edge. So to do that, once you're here, you're gonna click on the little graph next to the US flag, drop down menu, you're gonna come to where it says strategy number 1, hit that, roll down to dynamic edge. So if you add pivots in your back office on its own, this might be grayed out until you click on the little green support button, blue support button, sorry, and ask them to add it to you. So once you click on dynamic edge, it'll actually load the dynamic edge scanner. And from here, 3-minute entry is amazing. There we go. Sorry, just checking on the chat. It's Michael. So yeah, we're here's dynamic edge, but it's not loaded what I want. Click back on there on the little graph. Go. So you got Forex pairs, FX. You got some gold and metals over there. You got oil and some other stuff. I for indices. You're gonna click that. Then roll down. US Tech 100, guys, is the NAS 100, the NASDAQ, all the same thing. And right here, you're gonna see at the top, underneath where it says pivots, you're going to see this little Arvid trade. That is the feed. That is the broker that is feeding this chart. So random little thing. If you haven't noticed, you can double click on this, hit backspace. You can come in here, guys, and type in BTC. And from there, you can come in here and load a BTC chart from either Arbitrate or Bitfinex or whatever. One of the two of these is normally open on the weekend. So you could come in here and use dynamic edge on Bitcoin. So I use this and it's gold. So, right now we're looking at Bitcoin and I can zoom out. That's a 30-minute. I could zoom out to a daily. I'm just giving you guys the glimpse into another whole way to use the scanner. If you look at the daily, you know, what do we have? I've shown you some of this before, but what do we have here in November? Right here. For those of you who know, and you've been studying this, we have got a higher high up here and on the bottom. What do we have at the bottom, guys? Most of you can probably see this and could have seen this. I didn't know about divergence back then. Look at this, the scanner's calling it. There's a D right there. It's already calling it on top of the actual EMA, but you could look at the histogram straight away. And as soon as that went opaque, you'd know, oh, we're rolling over. We're probably going to start dropping from here. So sure enough, price did start dropping. And then on a daily, we only got a signal down here when price had already dropped to 60,000. But that right there, sell signal on the daily, would have been a very huge reason to swap into stable coins. So anyway, just want to show you that you can use this on Bitcoin. You can type in ETH up there, XRP, whatever you want. But let's get back to the NAS. But just to give you guys a heads up, because it's brilliant, guys. The dynamic edge, when you learn the rules, you can apply it the same way for safe entries. So back here, I just clicked in there, hit the I, hit US Tech 100. We're looking at the NAS. And so what you can do, guys, is you can customize some stuff and save. So if you click on here and if you do some things, you could hit save. So for instance, what I'm going to do right now is show you how to get the pivot lines, but the Camarilla lines that James does. So under indicators, and click that, and type in PIV, and then over here, pivot standard points. So right now I have added the pivots, but by default, it doesn't show up. You've got to zoom out and just squeeze the chart. And there we go, we've got pivot lines. So, and for whatever reason, we're back to US something else. That's not the right price. Let me just get off here, click back to US Tech. There we go. That's price action that we want. So now you can see these little golden lines that are there. What do we got? We've got, if I zoom out, the central pivot, the R1, R for resistance, S for support, S1. So I mean, if I really scrunch this up, you're going to see those levels. So those are standard pivot levels. James likes to use Camarillas, which is described as like a cousin to pivots. So you're going to right click on the actual pivot line like this, roll down to settings, and then on settings, you're going to be able to change this. It says type under pivots. It's traditional right now. You're going to roll down and hit Camarilla. Now you've got Camarilla lines. See all those extra lines that just popped up? Whole lot of more lines to have in the background. Then you're going to come in here and change this time frame to daily instead of auto, and the number of pivots back, instead of 15, you're going to punch in 2. Hit OK. Now we've got the Camarillas set up how James has them. I have customized them the way James does. So I'm going to go up here and hit load because I want to load a chart that I've already made. So in here, I've just got one that I've set up. And if I load this, see the S, let me get this right. So you can customize those pivot levels to whatever you want. So James's way is the R3, he makes it a bit thicker and he makes it that teal color. The R4 and the S4, sorry, S3 and R3, green and thicker. R4, S4, blue and a bit thicker. Just another way to differentiate when there's so many lines on your chart. So that's saved in my settings. You can, and basically you could do this. You can come in here, load the camera rulers, load the daily, load the 2, go to style. He unticks the central pivot. If I tick it, it's going to show up there somewhere. But then, yeah, you can come in here, change the color, and you can change the thickness somewhere down there at the bottom. So that's how you would get your pivot lines. Camera rulers looking just like James. So what are we looking at? What's been happening? We've had a buy signal in the 1 minute. Someone said something in the chat a moment ago. Let's have a look. So yeah, guys, for those of you, that's the simplest form of instruction for showing you how the scanner actually loads. I'm just trying to get my settings here so I can see who's still here. There we go. There we go. Now I can see who's actually still here. Guys, if you've got any questions about Dynamic Edge or about setup, now's a great time. By all means, it's a little more on the go in the mornings when we're actually trading. Obviously, just by tuning into James, you're going to learn and pick up all these things because every single go live adds value. I mentioned this morning, last week, Thursday, I missed it and Dad raved about it. So I went and tuned into it and he broke down a lot of great stuff on last week Friday morning session. I believe he went through the 16 different forms of divergence you can pick up off the MACD. That was gold. So most of us are aware of at least, you know, the ones that we follow in the strategy, which look like, oh, it's not letting me load it.
Who was that, Ty?
James Leone. So that's,
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the creator of Dynamic Edge.
Yeah. I missed that one. Which session was that?
That was Friday. So let's go and have a look. I'll show you. So go live. Click on go. I've got all my shortcuts up here. Let me just do this. There we go.
Good
Go
excuse
live.
to show us where to find the go lives, eh?
Yeah. So in here, you're gonna log in, and then once you're in, oh, caps. Hang on. There we go. Let's do this. Bear with. But I'll show you exactly, because yeah, some of you guys really great point for asking that. Let's have a look. So go live is going to load here at the beginning. You're going to roll down and select the FRX Academy because that's where we are for the strategy. Then when it loads, I can show you where James is and where his favorite videos are. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. He's number 4. You can see his timetable here. Wednesday 5 a.m. Thursday, 9 p.m., Friday, 5 a.m. So tomorrow morning, guys, let's see who shows up for that. So click on his face over there. That is going to load his channel. And from there, you're going to see in here the most recent session, which was on the 24th. So yeah, there we go. And then you're going to see all the most recent ones here. So the 24th, the 23rd, the 22nd, etc. Then favorites. So guys, if you're brand new and you're diving into Dynamic Edge, this is the flow that I like to set people up in terms of where to start. So go live is pillar number 2. Let's just load pillar number 1 for 1 second to give everyone the walkthrough. So im.center is pillar number 1. Gonna log in here, and you know, really cool to see guys talking about this in the chat earlier, like Les asking about, you know, where did you guys start or how much of that did you watch, and all you guys commenting, like Evan and a few of you guys in there, and Joe and Aaron, I think. It's worth it. So in here, guys, you're going to go into academies. This is the im.center, and then you're going to click on, I mean, obviously there's all the different options in here, but we're looking at right now FRX English. Click in there, and in here you can click to enroll in the course, and you got the PDF handbook, and then it just starts rolling into it. So you've got FRX, the 100 series. What is FRX? History of FRX. What is traded in FRX? All the way through to the 200, 300, and the 400 series. So you got all the videos there. So that's pillar number 1, the pre-recorded foundations of FRX. So here's my pathway. Go to go live. First thing you're going to do, come in here and watch under favorites, James's favorites. Watch his 27-minute bootcamp video. So then in 27 minutes, 28 minutes, you've got a bit of a picture of where you're headed once you finish those im.center videos. So you might not understand it all. There might be a whole lot in there, like obviously the EMAs and just things that are unique to his strategy that might be brand new, but it's just going to plant some things in your mind so that when you're in here in the academies, some things are going to stand out more than others. So once you've watched that bootcamp video, come over to academies, ram through those videos, then come back to go live, back to his favorite section. Ignore these first 2 early walkthroughs. That's just the early stuff that, you know, gets covered later. Then you're going to watch the divergence lesson, and I suggest you watch it twice. I've had consistent feedback of people watching that and coming back to it and being like, oh, I get it now. So divergence lesson, huge. Masterclass indicators, he's going to talk about the different EMAs and so on. Balance score chart, that is where he's going to talk through the steps in the process and how he equates it to counting cards. So how we end up with a 5 or 6 out of 6 trade on a signal. When the signal pops off, we want to gauge the strength of that signal. Extra tech tools, I think that's where he gets into camarillas from memory, and then multiple time frame analysis. He goes into more. So you got like what, 5 and a bit hours here, maybe 6 tops of specific education for the dynamic edge. So that's where you can find that, guys. So back to the pivot scanner, see what's going on. What do we have? So, basic steps in the process. I think most of you guys have all got this by now. I need to just adjust my screen share so you can see more than what I am sharing right now. So if I stop and then I click it so that you can see my entire window instead of just my one scanner. So there's pivots. So let's make sure you can see this. So here is our steps in the process. So divergence, guys, that's everything for us. That's how we, gauge divergence. But before that, we have got the steps in the process. So over here. So number 1 with this strategy, guys, without getting too deep in it, most of you already know it, is we're looking for divergence all the time. And sorry, this is not the highest quality image, but we're always looking for divergence because that is the thing that teaches us, when a reversal might be happening. The analogy that works for my head the most is thinking of, divergence in a MACD like energy. I know Happy likes to describe it as someone running up a hill and getting tired. I thought earlier of this picture of like a car driving and almost like having like the car is driving up the hill, but there's a hole in the tank and petrol's coming out and you start noticing. So the basically convergence, most of you might know this already. Like for me, I describe convergence. Historically, I've understood it like, the 3 areas in your life where you have convergence would be in the dream would be you love something, you're good at it, and you get paid for it. That's a convergent role. When you are in a role and you're employed, you love it, you're good at it, you're paid for it. That's convergence. Everything heading in the same direction. Divergence is when things are heading in the opposite direction. So on the surface, we're going up, but underneath the surface, we're actually running out of steam and about to turn around. So we're always looking for divergence. That's step number 1. And then this teaches us, some of the how with the different signals like lower lows, higher low, like obviously the top here, lower lows is what we're seeing on the bottom. So over here, that low is, this low right here is lower than that low. So we've got a low. And then let's draw it actually, shall we? So right here, we've got lows over here that are lower than those lows. So we've got lower lows. And then what do we have on the MACD? So over here, higher lows on this bottom section. Right here, we've got higher lows. So as soon as that bar turned from solid red to opaque, we knew that that was potentially turning around and it wasn't going to come down lower. And so we've got lower lows and we've got higher lows, and that there equals move up. So step number 1, guys, is spotting divergence. So we've got divergence. So at this point in time, let's check this time frame. What am I on? I'm on the right time. Yep. So, this chart's loaded on a weekly. Yeah, looking at the wrong thing. That's hilarious. That's let's see where we're at right now. But same thing, looking for divergence. Let's see what we can find. Lower lows, higher lows, all through there. Let's see. Less obvious, but happening. You can see it here. There's different ways to check it out, but obviously right here we've got lower lows going on, and on the histogram, which is the printing of the red, these lows are getting higher like that. But the more obvious thing that you could spot would be the MACD actually starting to really turn around, doing this turn. So as soon as we start coming up, we've got a low over here that's higher than that low. So we've got lower lows, higher lows, and then, this turnaround. So spotting divergence, number 1. Step number 2 is rejection of a line. And so we've got all these colorful lines on the chart. We've got pink, we've got purple, we have got yellow, which, yellow runs through there. Follow the yellow brick road is the line, and green, which, is green in buy mode and is red in sell mode. So those are our EMAs that are on there. James talks about a couple other ones, some Fibonacci numbers that you could add if you'd like, but they're not necessary. And that's rejection of a line. So when price comes up and bumps into a line or rejects a line, pushes through, that's rejection of a line. So for instance, I'm trying to look at a very clean opportunity. So right here, what happened here? Price came down, sell signal. The price came down here, for instance, and rejected pink, and then violently moved up. And we've got a buy signal just because we crossed that line. So buy signals and sell signals, guys, are generated on dynamic edge when price closes on the other side of the road. The black line is the center of the Bollinger Bands. We call that the center of the road. So anytime you take a buy is when price is on the north side of that, and a sell when price is on the south side of that. It's just really safe entries. So basically that rejection of a line and then signal. We get a signal that pops off. So then when that signal pops off, we want to know how strong is that signal, steps 1 through 6. So I'm going into the steps in the process a little bit for those of you brand new or just thinking about diving into dynamic edge. So number 1, we've got a trigger with the EMAs and the arrow, the actual signal. Number 2, is the MACD in the correct mode or hopper mode? So right here, what happened here? We had divergence already. So from, let's say from, gosh, that's a nice pin bar. So that's a reversal in itself. That's a key. So right there, we start coming up. From 1949, we had a signal, what, six minutes later. We're watching paint dry for 6 minutes. Price crosses the road because there's 2 conditions. Price crosses, and then from there, the EMA also crosses, then we get a signal. There's 2 conditions behind the scenes. So when we get that signal, now what are we doing? We're talking about trigger, MACD is in hopper mode. So MACD in hopper mode basically means that the blue EMA has come up and crossed the center line of 0. You can see there's a 0 over here in the middle. So when EMAs come up, this blue one crosses 0, we are in buy hopper mode. When it crosses down through the 0, we're in sell hopper mode. Anytime it's down here, we're still in sell hopper mode. Anytime we're still up here, we're still in buy hopper mode. But when you get a signal and a cross through 0 at the same time, that is the magic zone where if you just take hoppers and signals, your percentage win rate will go up. So that's check number 2. So have we got a signal? Yes. And EMAs, etc. in the right way. MACD in hopper mode, yes. Price above or below the mid BB, in this case, yes, we're above. Is the PSAR dot outside? PSAR, parabolic stop and reverse. Those are these black dots. So price over here came up, touched that black dot that's there on the mid BB, and then it moves straight away. And I didn't know this in the early days, but when it reverses, it flips over, the dot flip we call it, to the equal previous low or equal previous high up here. So you can anticipate when that's going to happen, and you can anticipate if it's going to be outside the bands, which is the next point. So basically we've got outside. PSAR dot outside means that this dot is outside the blue Bollinger Bands or teal. So on the line is the same, outside and on the line. So that's a point for that. Then are the bands expanding? Are these bands expanding? So right here, when we had the signal, you could say that the bands were closing in, closing in, closing in. And when we had that signal, they were maybe, I would say, I would not see them expanding. They're kind of slowly expanding on the top, slightly flat on the bottom. So that would be a no. I would say they're not expanding yet, but almost. So far we're 4 out of 5, and then 6 to the higher timeframes concur. So that's looking at like a 3-minute and a 5-minute, checking where the EMAs are. So for instance, even here, these EMAs are on the wrong place for a buy. Pink is above purple, which is right, but it's on top of us, not beneath us. So if we're, for instance, back here, that buy signal, pink above purple, and we're on the right side of it, we're on top of it, that there would have been a tick. Right here, no tick. We've got to break through that now, which we did. And then there we had divergence on the 3-minute, which caused that to stop. So yeah, I'll show you that. Let's have a look. Because I was running in that trade for a moment. Where are we? So 3-minute. Let's see, where are we? Bands expanding right now. Oh, I've lost that signal. There we go. So lower high, we had there on the 3-minute in a bit more obvious state. Let me get this out the way. And I'll wrap up in a few minutes, guys. Just wanted to break this down for the guys that are new, who are catching on this recording later as well. Lower highs over higher highs. So we can see that over here, hidden divergence, lower highs, higher highs. Yeah, so that high being lower than that high, this high on the MACD being higher than that one. So right there, we knew that price was, and that was divergent early from back here. So we knew approaching the mid BB even that we're highly likely to reject a line if there's divergence already against us. So something to think about, guys, when you see that happening. So back to the 1 minute. So that's the steps in the process. Higher timeframes, do they concur? And when you've got in the beginning, just aim for 6s. If you only take 6s, great idea. In your second month, maybe think about 5s, and it just requires a bit more patience, obviously, for 6s and 5s, and then maybe 4s later. Never 3s, 2s, and 1s, ever. James doesn't do it. None of us do it. It's just, yeah, it's not worth it. So patience pays, guys. So right now, what are we? We've got pink above purple. We're above the mid BB, heading up to this target. So that same signal, I saw our chat earlier, you know, what happens if you're over here? We haven't been, see, we had a buy signal here. We're not going to get another buy signal as long as we are closing above the mid BB. So we're still in buy mode. Hopper at the same time, that hopper ran, and we've got higher lows, lower lows. So we're already divergent for a move against us. So with that happening, we could see a bit of a pullback, which, you know, we obviously saw that basically that red candle, a pullback to a line, could keep going up, but we'll see. Getting a bit tired, as you can tell from up here, energy's come all the way down and it's working its way. So steps in the process, guys, that's pretty much it. It's divergence is everything. Once you're in the trade, obviously you've got a target, and 2 to 1 is the thing, like Mike said. So if you put it on the entry, if you entered on the candle when the signal went off, stop loss is the dot, which you can tell is calculated for us here. We've got that invalidation level, that's your stop loss. So if you're entering a trade, you would be looking. So right now you could tell. So when that dot flipped, guys, you could tell that that dot was going to flip to that level because of that previous low. So you knew that when we get a dot flip, it's going to be outside. 1 tick in the process already. You're more that dot flipping is one of the first things I ever spot. Maybe bands expanding, depending. But dot flips are normally first. Sometimes you might get a signal and the dot hasn't flipped yet, and James would say, wait. So yeah, then from there, that's your stop loss. Target is going to be 2 to 1. So 2 to 1 for us is there. Target's a little bit higher. If we get there, we get there. So right now we didn't on that first push, but let's see how this works out over here. If you're still in this trade, if you were moving your stop aggressively and following these dots, you can lift your stop loss, guys, but I guarantee if you do it all the time, you're just going to get stopped out. And I believe, you know, your brokers are aware of your stop losses too. There's a whole another lesson in that I don't know too much about, but I've heard Mike talk about. So just a thought to think about. If you do lift your stops close, yes, you're going to lock in profit, but you're also going to get stopped out. But in this case, James would say, you know, exit on the dot flip anyway. So if you were lifting your stop to here, you would have gotten stopped out on that candle. And then what? You didn't make 2 to 1. You probably made like just almost 1 to 1. If you got stopped there, not even 1 to 1. Yeah, not great, but you would have made some pips. So the thing is, right, if you saw the higher time frame, you might want to hold and not lift your stop to there, because the 3 may have been a little bit kinder for staying in the trade. But right now, see, even entering that, the lines were in the right place, pink and purple. Now they are. So right now, we'll see. We've got this divergence playing out for coming down. We've got higher lows. We haven't yet got lower lows. So if we push down, we've got a dot flip. So we'll see. I don't know if we're going to get to this target right now, but that's how you calculate. You're aiming for 2 to 1, which is not, let me adjust that now. And anything above that is a blessing. So take the bulk of your trade out as soon as you get to 2 to 1, lock in those gains. I bet you as soon as your trade runs blue, everything inside of you wants to keep it running, keep it running. It's going to run 100 pips and then it runs straight back down to break even and stop. And you wish you exited and took profits. Here's a line I'll never forget Curtis Cobain saying, no man goes broke taking profits. So take profits, guys. Don't be greedy. Let, you know, maybe 10% of your trade stay open if you believe it's going to keep running. But otherwise from there, that's pretty much the steps in the process, guys. So we want 6 out of 6s. That's what we want. And then divergence again, like this is it, A, B, C, D. Always be checking divergence. So once you're in the trade, you are looking intently for divergence against you, which would be this. If this was running and you're still in this trade, or even here, I mean, before that, we've got obviously these higher highs, and all the while happening down here, we've got these lower lows. So right from even there, you would be finger on button or watching, lifting your stop there again. And then now, but that point, obviously it's a bit late, and watching the angle of that. I mean, that right there, that aggressive swing in the MACD would have been a great reason to lock in profits or exit with such a sharp reversal. But that's it. A, B, C, D, always be checking divergence. So that is probably enough of me ranting about that. But if you guys, sorry, I don't have the chat in the right place. So many things on my screen here. Thanks, Russ. There we go. That dot flip, that was probably a few moments ago. And yeah, there we go. So the dot flip for the sell. Yeah, so that right there, let's have a look. We've got higher lows, lower lows. So that, let me break this down for you. Because we have, when that flipped coming up, we've got these higher lows, which are still higher lows right there. And because we're approaching a hopper, here's what some guys do. You get sucked in because you think it's about to turn into a sell hopper, right? So what do we have here? We've got higher lows, lower lows, divergent for a move up. So signal, dot flip, great. Signal, okay, we've got a signal, but now what? If you have got divergence on the opposite, in the opposite face of that signal, and you're approaching a hopper, we call that a hopper rejection. It might come real close and then just go the other way, which you can see right now that's doing. Sometimes it'll just flirt with a little bit and then fall off the cliff. We will see. I'm gonna, yeah, I haven't looked into too much of what's going on right here right now, but that's what happens. If you see a signal, and you can see also like a strong line, like, you know, approaching a, what else we got? Trying to think of another one here, but that's pretty obvious. You got higher lows right there at purple. Purple being, how does James describe it? Pink is, you know, Barney the dinosaur and his really strong friend. There's strong lines of support or resistance. If you're coming up into it, it's strong resistance. If you're on top of it, it's strong support. Look at that. Touch purple, touch purple, touch purple, coming up above, touch, not even touch purple. So haven't dropped back down through purple since we broke above at 8 o'clock, 8:01. But right now, we're still in buy hopper mode. Might turn green again, and then yeah, so we might get another buy signal in a second. And if we dot flip, we are not going to be outside if we're going with this. But yeah, just want to break down some of that for you. Hope that's helping. By all means, if you guys have questions, Russ, I found the band's expanding is the strongest indicator for a sure thing. Very true, Russ. That is the thing I watch like a hawk, and it's the one thing that takes, I think, a little bit of time to watch. Like right now, they're closing in, but when you get a signal that pops off, it is very easy to get excited to push the button. And if those bands are not expanding, sit on your hands and wait, because often price might come up and retest. If they're not expanding and price has moved above, like we'll see what happens here, right? So what happens is price might push above, but then, and you'll get a signal, but if it's, you know, price will then sometimes close, come back for that retest. And when that retest is happening, you start to just see this angle on the band start to change. If that angle starts changing and you got a signal and those other things are lined up, bam, I am finger on button waiting to see that happen. Because that is, yeah, if the band starts to expand, you know, you're gonna have some action, some volume. So yeah, that, and obviously having a 3-minute open next to it at all times. I've always got 2 charts running, and because right now what's happening, right? The 3-minute, we've got this bearish divergence playing out, but we're still in buy mode. We're still, you know, the angle, the clock angle of the mid BB is pointing up right now. You know, pink is above purple, but what's happened, we might be having a bit of range because pink is, you know, moving through black right now. So yeah, that's some of that, guys. I mean, high time frame, not much higher, but 5. Pretty similar story. We're trying to get back above the mid BB. The dot's outside of the 5. The target's 12,182. So yeah, who knows? We can go in the 5, 15. Feels like the higher we go right now, the more, yeah, see that's a bit of noise in between, stuck in between. But once, if this pushes up, if this 15-minute candle continues to follow the yellow brick road towards that target, that'll be wonderful. Yeah, so let's drop it. Let's see the 1 hour, because we were flirting with the mid BB there. Yeah, we're on top. We've got a buy signal, but rejected off the R3. We are in pretty much at hopper mode. If you click on the MACD, you can kind of see where it is. Right on the edge of a hopper. We are lower high, yeah, kind of lower highs, higher highs for a bit of bearish divergence, which might have been that. Right now, looks like it wants to break through. So we'll see. We'll see if this on the 1 hour in 19 minutes can close on top and get us a bit of a push up. Back to the 1 minute. Hopefully you guys, there we go. So what do we got? We got a dot outside, guys. That's because those bands expanded more. So there we go. There we go. Let's see what's up with this. So now there's that retest on yellow. And what do? We follow the yellow brick road. Let's have a look. Let me just get my stuff open in front of me. I'm still in from quite a long way ago and running, but I'm just checking here since we've got another sell signal. I didn't exit this one, but we're still, yeah, see, I mean, you look at the MACD on the 1 and we're just coming lower, 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 lower. So we came into a fake out with a sell hopper, but now we might actually just that might keep happening. We'll see. Dot outside means that we could be coming out of range. When we're in range, it means price is just going sideways. The bands are not expanding, they're contracting. But obviously when they contract to a certain point, you're going to get a dot outside, and that is normally indicative that, you know, we're about to have a bigger move. So after a bit of range, after a big move, a big drop off that we've seen, we often have range. and the market rests, and then it gets ready to go again. So look at those bands, guys. What are they doing? They look like they're starting to expand a little bit. Nothing overly conclusive just yet, but we have got these EMAs in the right place. Let's have a look at the 3. Good session, guys. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate that, bro. Just looking at the chat. So yeah, we've already rejected green on the 3. Definitely lost a bit of energy on that MACD. But yeah, right now, if this came down here on the 3 and was to collide with pink and the mid BB, guys, when you got multiple EMAs, like strong EMAs that are close together like that, that often also produces some fireworks. So look what happened here. Look at this. So what do we got here? We've got pink and the mid BB right here, and we just like on top, boom. So right now it's sorting itself out. If it does straddle here and then come down for another test, might take a bit of time. Yeah, not quite ready to pop at the moment, but just watch those bands, guys. That's the thing that causes it to go. Looks like it's thinking about it. And I can't remember exactly what those key levels that Mike had up here before, but just look left, right? So what do we have? We've got around here. So that target line, look at that. That target is level with all this action over here. So if I draw a ray, let's do a full horizontal ray on this target and on what's going on here. And let's see. So we're targeting this level, which I want to make you extra thick. And yeah, red. So look left, right? So price came up, bumped into that, broke above, broke below, retested. That might be hard to see, but look at that. When we got the other side of it, broke below, retest, boom, fell off. So now that's calling us our next target is that line. And if we zoom out even more, it probably shows up further back, right? So there's probably a whole lot of action through here where that level was something. Look, there we go. Again, perfect little retest there. And before that drop off, retest off mid BB, close below, boom. So that target that the 1 minute is calling right now, guys, is definitely a level that, yeah, if we get to it, that might be where we get to. And we need a whole lot of things to line up on high timeframes to blast through it. Cool, thanks, Drew. But yeah, guys, 8:44. Wanted to keep tonight tighter for those of you especially getting up early in the morning, but just wanted to break down a bit of dynamic edge for the guys who are brand new. I know it just helps sometimes to see it explained, and I mean, James does a brilliant job, but yeah, just let me know if you guys have questions about any aspects of it. Yeah, just get on goLIVE. That's what I'll say. It's when in doubt, just get on goLIVE, ask James questions. He answers like 99% of every question in the chat. So it's happening here. We are below. Yeah, so still in a bit of range, guys, but you know, it's going up. So another thing I've been really enjoying in the mornings is some trend lines. So Michael's taught us plenty on that too. So if we were going to go here and go from there, and what happened here? So if that was at one point the trend line, what happened there? Price did what? Test, broke through, retest, rejection. And so right now, what's our next low? Our next low, if that's a high, is kind of over here. And so what have we done? Sorry, it's just magnetizing to the wrong place, but there-ish. Right now, if we have just closed beneath the mid BB and this trend line, this right now could potentially drop, depending on what that looks like on the other time frames. But guys, trend lines are pretty powerful. It's another way. That's been one way how I've scored some really great late entries. I know it sounds bad, but when there's been a signal and the lines haven't been in the right place, but then we've broken what looks like a strong trend line. Last week, I got into a really great sell that way. So on the 3 minute, yeah, that's a little clearer over there. But yeah, let's see what happens. Still, that looks good to me. Like on the 3 minute, mid BB crossing now above, confidently above pink. It's the angle's up. The target on there is way high. The 3 minute sometimes calls some crazy targets, but if we can get back and hold above that line, that would be good for this buy. If you guys are in it still, I currently am, and seeing lots of blue, which is great. And now we're bumping into a big round number. So just remember that, guys, 12.99. Big psychological numbers often give some resistance, which you can see has been happening to the left. We have bumped into it. over and over and almost over again. So if we don't have some band expansion right now, see, look at that. That was a sell signal that went off, but as soon as it went off, price did what? Moved back above. That's why the sell signal's up there right now. Yeah, and you wouldn't take that because the dot hadn't flipped yet. If you put a fib on the 3-minute chart, we rejected a major line. Cool, thanks, Evan. Let's have a look. Just having a go back to buy signal. 3-minute. Let's go. Not sure how far back you were going, but if I look at mine, where's mine? Here we go. I don't know if he's got my fib settings on it right now, but I can adjust it. But from no, they don't. But if we did that, we're bumping into the 50%. Look at that, guys. So price came down, price pulls back, 50%. Doof, doof, doof. So we've got a bit of a line there. It's probably something just the current move. Yeah, okay, from today. So that might be further back than that. But even that, just on a micro, you can start to see what's happening there. 50% zone, that there, closing. Let's have a look. So from today, if we were to go from 20, where are we? 28th. Sorry, forgive my brain right now. So that would have been this morning opening up. So I guess from the previous high, right, is where I would be drawing it. I think I did this morning. From here, I'll be going from the previous high to the current low, which is about there-ish. And yeah, what did we reject off, guys? We rejected bang off a 618, 61% retracement. So price basically, because of that high, price came this low. And as soon as price crosses back above, I think it's the 236, we have an active fib. There might be another number in there. These are not my normal fib numbers. But then we have an active fib, then we can expect things like 382, 50%, maybe even 61. So in a strong trend, price will reject the 382. So price will be coming down, push back up, hit the 382, strong rejection. That's classed as a strong trend. A normal trend is 50%. So price runs down, comes back up, 50% rejection. And look, it did exactly that. And then managed to push back up, rejected off the 61, push down, weaker trend 61. Last line of defense is 78.6% or 786, and I like to have the 886 zone there as well. Yeah, I adjust these to Curtis Cobain settings, which the 786, 886 zone, guys, supply and demand, just super high probability trade areas, trading from the edges, like Mike says. So yeah, like if price did run up here and you're seeing this get close to the 786, 886 zone, lock in tight unless there's a whole lot of other high time frame divergence going on to break through. But yeah, that is where we're at now. Let's see what's going on here. On the 3, we are still, yeah, those bands are contracting on the 3, but we are still pointing up, guys, on the mid BB. The pink's below. We've got to get back above that little line there potentially. But look, that's a 5-minute. Yeah, bit of that bearish divergence there, but let's see, we're holding above. You can see the angle's different, right? On the mid BB on the 5, we're bumping into green and black, but they're yellow, closing above yellow. That's pretty good. I like that. If that angle on the EMA on the MACD starts to come back up, MACD scalper pattern, guys. If we've gone opaque and then we've gone solid to opaque, and then we start turning back up and go solid again, that's what James would describe as a MACD scalper pattern. And you'll see them here and there, like over here, solid, opaque, solid. So we had that run up, that come back down, but then that we followed the yellow brick road, and again, push back off. So what's happening here? It's not a very nice candle right now, but yeah, 1 minute is still going sideways. But yeah, and you can see just getting lower highs on the MACD over here, higher lows on the red, so it's coiling up for potentially something. But yeah, that's a little bit of a channel. Let's drop into here. We'll see. Anyways, this is to not watch paint dry all night. For those of you who are going to get up to watch James, there you go, a little band expansion, a little bit. There we go. Let's see how this plays out. So from that signal, that target, if where am I? Wrong position. If you were to enter on him, your stop would be here. 2 to 1 is there, but just remember guys, big round number, we're like pretty much just bumping into it right there, or we have, and we're making kind of like rolling over a little bit here, calling up a little bit. Let's see what happens. But yeah guys, I know you've mostly all got the scanner as well, so enjoy if you want to keep trading. Russ, 5 a.m. NZT, I think. Yes, that is when, sorry, yes, Sam, that's it. Yeah, 5 a.m. tomorrow, James is live. So on goLIVE, you can see if I go back, it'll just load right there. But on FRX goLIVE, you're going to click on, you see his face there, you see Wednesday, live analysis, 5 a.m. So all you'd have to do is come here, click on his face. And if you arrive early, you just got to wait for it to load. If you arrive a little bit late, it's just going to have a play button on it, and you're going to click play. You're going to dive straight in. Chat's going to be running, and yes, right now it's just the most recent session. So yeah, there we go. There we go. Here we go. What's going on? Okay, we've got to break this key with some big round number still. 12099. Let's see. Let's see. Just watching. Feel like I need some tunes on. I'm still in this. Let's see. There we go. That's looking like, come on, bands. Come on, bands. Here we go. What do we get? What's happening? Bands. Oh, come on. Remember, they've got to close. Like the bands can expand, right? But you know, that candle, they're going to close in relation to where that candle closes. So another 26 seconds on this one. We're following the yellow brick road right now. So we've got to get back above this little trend line here. You can see I've probably haven't drawn it all that accurately, but look at that, guys. Look at the wicks on those tops. So what was that low and that low has run up, and because we broke back below it, now we've been, what was support, right, has now become what? Resistance. Doof, 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 4 rejections. And from here, we have got some lower highs, higher highs. So we have got some bearish divergence currently like this and like this, because that's higher there. But I like this angle, right? Look at that MACD angle coming right up. It's no longer down here and doing that. It's going up. So I like the look of that. Band's expanding a bit more, pushing up. That angle's starting to look a bit better. How long have we been in range for here? Can we measure time this way? 20 bars, 50 bars, 50 minutes. Been moving sideways for almost an hour. There we go. Back up to that trend line, breaking above. 8 seconds to go. Band's expanding, looking good. Getting above that round number of 12,100. Closed above, boom, gapping up a little bit, almost. And then rejection of something, but pushing. Now we're above that trend line, guys. See that? Let's see how this plays out. And then we've got this level. What is this? Central pivot. Okay, big deal. Right there, that number, 12,106. Let's see what's happening on some other. Okay, this trade's running nicely now. So let's go back and just see what candles, what's closing. 8:55. So we're gonna have a 1 hour close pretty soon. Let's have a look here. Let's go to the 1 hour. He's probably going to be above now nicely from that little push. So yeah, that 1 hour, we've got a buy signal, which we already had. And now if we close above there in a hopper, that could give us some serious momentum, right? I mean, that's the one. What's the 4 doing? 4 might be a different story. 4 is still very much in buy mode, but our MACD is potentially coming down for a bit. Let's see, higher lows, lower lows. So that there's our, you know, we saw that, I think, well, that was from 1 o'clock, right? So those lows higher, these lows lower, turning opaque, turning back up, rejection of purple. So yeah, we could be pushing up here. What do we got? Wave count wise, you know, Mike's gonna do way better than me, but we've been waiting for this 5th wave. So we were counting this morning and may have been just a little early with some of it, but where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from here, back at 5 a.m. on the 17th, guys. 1 up to there, 2 down to there, 3 up to there, 4 down to here, and now we're looking for 5. Elliott wave theory. I know a lot of you guys are well versed in this stuff. It's all in the 400 series if you're watching the videos on it, but yeah, Michael's given us some pretty high level training on it too. And if you want, I have got those on my YouTube channel as unlisted, just some of the gold that he shared with us and our team. So if you want to watch, he did a whole thing on Elliott wave and divergence, and it's brilliant. For those who missed it, I highly recommend it. Really meaty stuff. So we've had a 1, 2, 3, we've had 4, now we're looking for 5. So hopefully we could push up, you know, at least to this R4. And yeah, that's on the 4 hour, which is going to close in 2 minutes as well. That candle's going to close there on the 4. And 2, yeah, 2's come up nicely. Let's check the 1. 1's looking pretty good into hopper mode. 30-minute. Just unlock my phone here. There we go. Those bands expanding on the 30-minute. Looking like a MACD scalper potentially in a second on the 30-minute. Let's check the 15. And yeah, bands looking like they want to expand on the 15 as well. We're on top of green. We're just waiting. Yeah, guys, look at this in 1 minute. We need this mid BB on the 15 to just, you know, cross through the pink. And that's when we often get range, right? Is when, you know, prices are bumping in between. Sorry, when the EMAs are shuffling around like that. So gonna have some pretty big candle closes all the way from the 4 hour down in a minute and a half, which would be pretty cool. Since we're trading the London Open, what's the time in London right now? All right, that's probably 9 o'clock. No, it's 9 o'clock here, sorry. Where are we? Let's check it on. I've got it on my phone, but looking for it. There we go, London, that's a bit easier. So right now, band's contracting right there, but it is 9:55 in the morning. So they're not breaking for lunch yet, guys. Let's see. And obviously when that overlaps into New York, because London overlaps with New York, 1:30 in the morning for us, we get some seriously good moves, right? So one of these days, one of these nights, maybe some of us should get wild and stay up late. There we go, MACD scalper pattern on the 5 and trade the New York Open, guys. I know some of you know I did that for a month with the Canadians on their Zooms that they run. There's about 40 of us on there, and it was pretty epic fun. It was crazy getting up at 3 in the morning with daylight savings. Oh, look at that. There we go. Okay, we bumped into that line there. What is that? R2, above the pivot, into the R2. Looking great. So yeah, that was, I learned so much, guys, like spending 2 to 3 hours, yeah, getting up at 3:30 and trading with them till 6:30 in the morning was, I did it 4 mornings a week. Jared as well joined me, and I think Dan a couple of times, and even Minter, and then yeah, did that for a month, and that just radically accelerated myself by just doing it with guys that have been doing it for two years plus. It was amazing. So that's a wee bit of a reversal candle on the 3. What have we got here? Higher highs, lower highs. So rejection of that line. Still following yellow brick road. What is that blue line through there that I've got? Is it on something? So we've definitely got some bearish divergence right now, as at now, but we are following the yellow brick road back on top of that trend line, which I would put, which was there. Sorry, a little bit of magnetism. Annoying. Oh, sorry guys, just messing around my chart. There we go. So we're on top of it. Push down, hopefully reject back off it. Let's get back on the 1. Hey, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the feedback, bro. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, so a little easier to break down stuff and do questions and stuff at night, guys, than in the mornings. But hey, if we're quiet in the mornings, by all means, fire away with stuff. So right now, looking good. Just want to adjust my stop on this because I am handsomely in profit, which is fun. Let's go modify. Let's do this. Cool. Locked in. And there's that bearish divergence, right, that we just saw. Retesting. Look, my trend line's probably not in the perfect place, but you get the picture. Rejection. That wasn't an EMA. That was just coming down out almost on that pivot line, central pivot. So we're above that. That's a good thing. We've hit the target, guys. Check that out. So on the 1 minute, got more than 2 to 1 just off that signal. I'm holding from somewhere back down there. So there we go. I know some of you guys are in this. Great stuff. There we go. Well, without being greedy, I've lifted my stop. So if I get stopped out, I'm happy. But yeah, very okay with it to run a little bit more, because what did we say? We're looking at that 1 hour, right? And seeing, so that those candles have closed. 1 hour might have been a bit noisy to see it, but the 4 hour was pretty clean. So this to me, you know, looks like the start of our 5th wave up, which, you know, should, like you can see here, there's a target on the 1 hour level with these highs. And so that's a very realistic target level, but, you know, we should finish 5 should clear higher than the top of 3, I believe. And please correct me, you guys that know earlier way better. But yeah, we have got bearish divergence, but we've got a hopper. So just because the divergence is there, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to play out right now. We are divergent, but until something turns opaque or turns around or we bump into something really, really strong, yeah, this could be the start of this wave. And there's waves within waves, remember that. So what do we got? We've got, you know, back to there, we've got, you know, the first wave, a little bit of a zigzag, but we're making higher highs, higher lows. And then we get the big turnaround of it there, completion of wave 1, then down here to 2. And then from there, we've got this push up, and, you know, it's zigzag, like a whole lot of noise, but it's, you know, higher the time frame is going to look cleaner. This is a 1 hour. And so down for 3, and now up, hopefully to 5. So let's see, where are we? Get on a 30-minute. Looking good. Band's expanding on the 30. Need that to turn into a scalper pattern. Dot outside on the 30 as well. Where was it on the 1? I think it was on the line. Can't remember. No, just inside. 15 minutes. We need that to do something. There we go. So black is now crossing above pink. Band's not expanding on the bottom. It's just trailing up. Still pointing up on top. Yeah, still in very much buy hopper mode here on the 15. Just checking my phone out. Band's closing on the 5. And yeah, guys, waves within waves. So what do we have? Yeah. Hard to see 1, but knowing that 3 is the bigger one. I mean, 1 could have gone up to like pink almost, pulled back, and then 3 was our big one. And then there, 4, 5, and now we've probably in here had an ABC of some kind, and then here we go again. So something like that. Bands are pretty tight on the 5. Still following the yellow brick road though, which is good. Let's see, 3 minutes. Bands look like they're still expanding. To me, they're not contracting. They're not aggressively expanding, but, you know, if we hold above that trend line, that's what I want to see. I want to see that hold above and keep coming up. If we get to that target of 185, woohoo. That's going to be over 100 pips for most of us, I think, on this one. Yeah, well over. And expanding, 11 more seconds on this candle. This one closes green, guys. Those bands are on that angle. I want to see, there we go, come on. Turn solid on that MACD. 2 seconds. I like that, keep going. Look, that might not be in the exact right place either, but let's go down to the 1. Higher lows. Do we get lower lows? We got equal lows. We can draw this out. Maybe not quite. Not quite. Higher. looks like she's getting a little tired, but we made the target at least for that signal, guys. That's the main thing. It's just patience, and then you get a signal, you get your 2 to 1, you're risking 2%, you're making 4%. So I mean, if your goal's 2%, guys, you just got to be patient. You wait, there we go. Come on, there we go. Patience pays. Okay, what is that? What are we bumping into there? 2. Oof, come on. There we go. Above that signal. Oh, I mean target, sorry. What a good night. Obviously not quite as crazy as the New York Open, but pips. And knowing where we are, right? So we're in the start of this 5th wave up, which could definitely see us get up there or higher. What did I say? I saw something around there. We should clear this. That was 3. I drew 5. That's what that line was. 5. Who knows? Up there at the 2, 12, 380. Let's see what happens tonight. See where it goes with New York. We should just continue this trend, I believe, up. If we get above that line, that'll be really good, because then our next stop is going to be up here. But we've definitely got bearish divergence. So higher highs, lower highs. Sure you guys can see that all quite easily. I mean, it's just continuation really. Up there. And there. So I could very easily have a pullback here, guys, to green or even to the mid BB. That would not surprise me in the slightest. Before we have, see what that little red there? So right now, if we got a pullback to the mid BB, we'd still have what? We'd have higher lows, and by then we'd have lower lows. So I'm anticipating a pullback, but I'm also aware that where that pullback might stop, because once that pullback plays out, it'll play out and give us bullish divergence down here. So we'll be looking for something like from there, that low, we'd see another low down here and a higher low there. And just remembering, guys, like this is, you know, little things. It took me ages to actually learn this, but the MACD, you probably know that when the histogram changes color, it's just the blue crossing the orange. So when blue crosses up through orange, it changes from red or opaque to solid green. And so if that angle's great, look at that. That's a good angle for us right now. But if that comes down and crosses orange, this is going to turn red. And when red comes down lower than that red, we've got lower lows. And at that point up here, we will have probably higher lows and lower lows. So we've got bullish divergence and a big line to push off. And that could be a re-entry zone. If you exited, like if we get a dot flip, because we might, if we push that low, we might flip that dot. But yeah, 3 minutes looking pretty good currently. But yeah, so you could hold. That band expansion on the 3 looks beautiful. Not extreme, but good. Yeah, what a trade. Let's go. 5 minutes looking great with that expansion. Great angle on that MACD EMA as well. Let's see what that 50 minutes done now. Pulling higher above the pink. Yeah, well, just a great angle. Yep, rounding up. And let's get to the 1. Hope you guys are scoring some pips. If you're not in this trade, don't feel FOMO. It's just, you know, yeah. Never feel FOMO, guys. That's the worst reason to enter a trade. There we go. Pushing up. Okay. Bands are not really expand. Like, see the angle of this bottom band? It's not expanding out. It's just kind of trailing up. It's pushing up on the top, but yeah. I like that. It kind of pushed up, came back, tested green, follow yellow brick road, almost a test of green, a little bit higher. I like it. Definitely still got bearish divergence, but yeah, I like a whole lot of it on the MACD and the histogram. So basically EMAs, we've got a high, we've got a lower high. So you could say that that's divergent there and divergent here on the histogram. So you call that almost double divergence. or divergence within the indicator potentially. So yeah, looking good, but could expect a pullback. Cool stuff, Corbin. Thanks for hanging out, man. Right, guys. Well, this one is running, and at least potentially 50 pips for most of us from some earlier back there. But yeah, very tempted to hold a good portion of this, being this fifth wave that I believe has started on the higher time frames and heading up. We're just running out of a bit of energy, so it's like, you know, we've had waves within waves, guys. We'll have like, you know, 5 tiny waves up and, you know, an ABC down, and that'll be, and that might happen 3 times inside of this fifth wave up. So expect pullbacks. That's normal. Just depends on how you're trading, but obviously if you're following dynamic edge to the letter, you're going to be in and out a whole lot more. But take the pips that you need, know what your goal is, block that off, and then lift your stop into break even or profit and let it run. So, which is what's happening right now. This is gold. So just want to check where we're at. Yeah. What are we above now with this fib? We are probably above. We get close to that 61.78. Let's see. Yeah, see, we're above the 61, which is here, and pushing towards 786. And that's probably 88. Yeah, so my settings, guys, if I was to do this real quick, I don't have them all in my head, but mostly that I'm going to go and make 618 gold. I'm going to make 786 red. I'm going to add the 886 and make that also red. And I can share these are Cobain's. Most of you, if you've done DCX time, you know what I'm doing. But oh, sorry, 835. Just Fibonacci numbers for common areas of resistance. So there's a few other things I like to change, but for now, that's enough. Not exactly how I'd have it, but that'll do. 236, you're not red, gray. I'm missing 1 or 2 lines there, but whatever. No, I can't take that level of, I can't stand a background. It's a little bit thick for me. Here we go. Now we can fine tune that. So well above 618, heading up to 786. Very likely zone for reversal, guys. 886, 786. So this might even push that high into 786 territory, and then we'll get the pullback. I mean, look at that angle on the mid BB. That is beautiful. High to the sky, pointing at whatever that is, 1:30, 2 o'clock. Let's see. Look at that. Way above the signal. Like, what is that now? Even if, so if you took this signal and you're still in it, that's almost 4 to 1. Well, yes, that's, have we hit that? Pretty much hit 4 to 1 if you just took that signal. So 2%, you would have made 8%, guys, just on that one. And if you entered back here, it's definitely more than 8%. So, but yeah, if you guys are in this, I don't mind hanging around. And yeah, I've actually got a call with, let's check, India and Uganda in 15 minutes. So I'm going to bounce pretty soon and give my voice a break, but I'm pretty confident looking at this, we should be coming at least up to this 786. And that would be a very likely zone for a pullback. So look at that, higher highs, we pulled in this lower high there. So there we go. MACD indicator starting to diverge more. So we've got it over here on the histogram, but now happening, there's a pullback a bit. I love that we're above, well above the big round number and heading up. So pull back to green. Yeah, let's mark this up on here. Let's keep this here. Give me a box and I'll box this up. This is what I like to do on higher timeframes, guys. I just box up zones that I anticipate to be resistance or support or whatever. Make it red if we might be bumping into something. Not that solid. There we go. Like that. And see, look at this. So that's like a, this looks like a strong trend to me. Look at this. So if I put a fib here, this looks like a from a low to a high, looking for a buy, from there to there. Where do we bounce off? We didn't even get to the 382. But yeah, strong trend bouncing off there. yeah, we're still moving. But if we do get a pullback, where can we expect it to go? So if we do turn around right here, for instance, and move that over, if we were to come down across the 236, you could expect it to drop even as low as, you know, 50%. So we could run up here, pull right back down, maybe even this 50% level, that what was resistance would now be support. We come back down, test 50%, which would be a level of, look at that big round number, right? So 12,101, we could come back down right now and test 12,101, which would be very normal. Shot Alex, thanks Evan, cool stuff guys. Well, yeah, there we go. So dot flip obviously, and looking at, well, look at that, what did I say? Divergent for a move up. So we've got higher lows happening, if you're still in the trade. So, well, I already drew it, so on the bottom. We've got these currently higher lows, they can push lower, but that plus the lower lows there, that tells me we should reject a line and push back up, although we've closed below. Check the 3 minute out. Yeah, looking good. Cool guys. Well, this is turning around a little bit, but and heading towards a sell hopper. So this might be that bigger pullback potentially, without getting too deep on it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for hanging out this evening, everyone. Hope you have a brilliant sleep. And those of you getting up, get your coffee all ready to go. So it's good to go at, you know, 5 to 5 in the morning for James. And we will see you in the chat and on Zoom Thursday morning, 5:15 for some more trading. Cool. Alrighty, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.